Welcome to Season 2 of Producer Points. My name is Justin Gamella, and I'll be your host. I'm a producer and songwriter who's had the honor of working with some of the best in the industry. This season, we're diving even deeper into one-on-one conversations with producers, mixers, songwriters, and artists, exploring their unique journeys, creative process, and insights that shape great music. Join me for real talks, straight from the studio, where music and life intersect. This is Producer Points. Welcome to potentially the final roundtable episode of the year. It feels like every day there's a new plugin dropping, a new EQ, a new compressor, a new distortion box that promises to change the way we make records. And behind those plugins are entire companies being built from the ground up. As producers and mixers, we all use them. We all argue about which ones are the best, but most of us have no idea what actually goes into creating them. That's what today's roundtable is about. We've got two indie developers who are right in the middle of shaping the space, and this is my chance and yours to ask the questions we've always wondered. How do you even start a plugin company? What goes into coding and the tools we rely on every day? And where is this world of indie plugin design headed? Our first guest shook up the audio world recently by dropping his plugins to 99% off in response to a Guitar Center and UAD blunder, a move that went viral across the producer community. His company, though, Purified Audio, has quickly built a reputation for accurate, intuitive tools that deliver pro results. Sam Pura, thanks for being here, man.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
Our next guest is one of the most exciting new voices in the indie plugin space. His company, Nudist Audio, may be early in its journey, but its flagship plugin, Nudistort, has already become one of the most talked about tools among producers and mixers for its fresh take on distortion. Please welcome Caleb Bresky. Dude, thanks for being here, man.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Listen, I wouldn't have asked you guys on the podcast if I wasn't a genuine fan of your plugins. Caleb, we had a mutual friend, artist Katumu, who put us in touch because she's like, yeah, do you know this plugin? I was like, yeah, of course I know this plugin. Everyone's talking about it. And Sam, I forgot how I don't know if it was just we just messaged each other on Instagram or something, but we've been talking for a while.
I think it might have been through Andy and Adomi.
Yeah. And, I was already a fan of your plugins. Do you pronounce it like VU compressor or VU compressor? What's your preferred?
Just the VU compressor.
Yeah, I mean that guy is my go-to for whenever I'm doing live drums. I just love the flexibility of flipping between 76 and the LA3A types in one thing. I just find that, I don't know, really inspiring. Yeah. It's my go-to for that kind of stuff. But I'm gonna be talking you guys up enough today. But our first topic is how do you even get started in plugin development? What's the first steps, what that in your mind or actually in the process to get a plugin company and a plugin started? Sam, I'll start with you.
So I mean, I'll start out straight by just saying I've never personally developed a plugin. I'm not a developer. I'm more so the CEO of the brand of I'm the Steve Jobs and Ed, my developer, is the Steve Wozniak of the Apple, basically.
Yeah.
But basically, for me, the story was kind of really simple. I was doing a mix tutorial video that it was a live stream event that this company had hired me for, and so I was explaining a gate technique that I use, where I like to map the BPM of the gate release time to my kick and snare times. And I was saying how it's really annoying that there's not a good plugin that actually has just BPM tempo sync gate release times. It's all just esoteric milliseconds as opposed to, and if they are, they're sidechain duckers as opposed to an actual gate, the way that it's kind of marketed. And so at that time, there was nothing that was doing it right that way. And so I looked at the camera and I was like, if you develop plugins, hit me up, we should do something. And this guy hit me up randomly with a fucking beta for what I was suggesting. And his name was Ed. And he was basically he had started his own company. I think they call it Kive, but it's just Kiive. And it was just him doing his own plugin designs and development. And he basically was like, I'd love to work on something with you. And so I had already had a kind of a few other plugin ideas and stuff. But basically, like the like I guess the longer story or the short story that I make it a little bit longer, I guess more is like the VU compressor was like the first one that I really like came to mind on, where I was basically like I the way that I use it is like I have like four different, I have like three different 1176s that they're all just set to 4-1, and I calibrate them all the same. So it's just like when I use my patch band to switch between the three of them, and so it's like it's like using the plugin. And like I should just put that into a plugin, so you just are like switching between the four units and have that all like calibrated to gain stage. And so I just said that to Ed in like a text, and he had a working beta of that, like the GUI for it like in a day or two. And I was just like, this is amazing. And so like I got onto like measuring some stuff and doing some stuff. And then he hit me up with the beta like a day or two later. And I was like, let's start a company. Like, let's do this. Like, so my way of like it started was like just a very natural progression of like, I'm just a music producer who runs a recording studio. And like, I happen to have like my own reach and following through like what I do. And like just me just being myself just kind of lent to making a connection with someone who has like changed my life. You know what I mean? And like we've made like an amazing company together. Like we're really proud of what we're doing. And like that's my introduction story of like how I personally started Purified.
Dude, yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's he's an ideas man. Like that's most
Yeah, exactly.
producers are.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. Caleb, what about you? How did Nudist Audio get started, and what was your journey?
Yeah, so I did not intend to start a plugin company when I first made a plugin. Like that was not the intention. I was kind of like I'm a musician, but I'm also like a nerd. So I was like nerding out about like audio stuff and like, I wonder how this all like works on the like under the hood. Like it's all like samples and numbers, right? And like what can you do with that? And so I like downloaded Juice, which is like the plugin development framework, and I started just like messing around with stuff and did not know anything about like digital signal processing or like anything like remotely technical about what I was doing. And I just like kept kind of fucking around for a long time, and just eventually started to happen upon algorithms that I thought sounded really cool. And I was like, whoa, this sounds like dope. Like, and then I started using them like in my own music. I was like, whoa, like this is like really a cool thing. And then I was like, okay, this should be like a real plugin that you can go like download on the internet. And so I like put it up on the internet kind of. It wasn't really intended to be a plugin company at first. I think it was more just like you can go buy this plugin if you want.
Right.
Like that was the thing. And then like slowly over the past 2 years, I've realized that no, this is actually like a really special thing that could become like a company and flourish into a real legit thing. So yeah, so that's been my journey.
Yeah, dude, I feel like that's like, and we're going to talk about AI more later, but with the advent of AI, like, did you already have like a coding background, or were you using tools like Cloud or ChatGPT to like help you write the code?
Yeah, I had a coding background, but like I didn't like study programming or anything. Like I had done some coding projects like on my own, but yes, ChatGPT absolutely was a lifesaver. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I
Yeah.
could have done it without ChatGPT. I wasn't doing the main like whatever algorithmic audio coding with ChatGPT, but everything around it, like building the infrastructure of the plugin and like building the website, and, like making sure all the things are hooked up right and like so it doesn't break. Like, oh my gosh, yeah, absolutely a lifesaver.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I use ChatGPT for this podcast like all the time. It
Yeah.
helps me like, just keep everything organized, and every social media post, not every, but almost every social media post is written by
Yeah.
ChatGPT. So, it's like whatever your views are on AI, it's like you either got to use it as a tool or kind of get left behind, for better or worse. Speaking of coding, you both kind of already like spoke about this already, but Sam, you were saying that you have a partner that you code. I have another buddy who was maybe going to be on the podcast, but the plugin hasn't dropped yet, so they didn't want to come on. But they hired, like, they had ideas, and their plugins are really great. I've gotten to use them, but they had to hire an outside guy to code. What's it like? It's like an oddly creative thing in coding, right? Like coding is not always creative, but it is creative in this. Like, what's kind of, Sam, for you, like the give and take with I'm forgetting his name already. I'm so sorry.
With Ed. Yeah.
Yeah, with Ed, and like the back and forth where he makes, like even with like the VU compressor, right? Where you're like, like it's not sounding quite right. Like do it more like that. Like what's that kind of back and forth like?
Yeah. It's funny because like, Ed is in Toronto and I'm in California. And so we only knew each other through the internet initially. And so I created a Discord and just created a Discord to be able to like create rooms for each plugin and like have like my business conversations with him and like make some moderators of like the people who are like running the website with me. Another big powerful guy in there is this dude Chad. He is in a band called Hundredth that I produce, and he does like amazing visual like merch stuff, and he's just like a phenomenal like Photoshop like text guy, just like and does marketing direction for like a lot of stuff. So it's like you can handle like making the Squarespace look good. I'll have Ed like code the plugins, and like we'll get the whole thing like working together and be like a best friendship team. And so that's kind of how it works. But like with like initially just like Ed works in Juice too, from what I understand. And it's really just like he'll send me for us. It's like he'll start up with like I'll start with like a kind of mock of ideas. We'll kind of just talk about what we want to do. And then he'll give me kind of like a mock of like a basic GUI that he's kind of going for and some things that he's thinking and like starts getting it kind of like in place on his end. And then it's like, hey, I'm going to send you these impulses. Like, can you capture some responses? And like, there's a back and forth about like me like getting the data for him, especially like with like the Liquid Death snare, for example, like me basically like recording all these snares and all these different fucking tunings and then supplying it all to him in like this beautiful folder and being like, here you go, dude, like fucking knock yourself out. You know what I mean? So like, like, and then once he sends me something, then like it's all just kind of back and forth on Discord of just like being best friends. Like, I really like that. What's this knob that like you put on there that I didn't even think of? That looks stupid. And he's like, no, trust me, it's cool. And then I use it. I'm like, that's actually really fucking cool. It's the best part of the plugin. Like, so we have like a lot of like really good like back and forth and stuff. So like we're working on a plugin like that we've been trying to get it out for a little while, but like there's just so many like small tweaks because it gets so complicated. It's like we're at like beta 7 at this point. But yeah, it's like on top of like making records and being a dad of 2 kids and you know what I mean? Like it's fucking like really hard to do. But like thankfully I can just like check it on Discord and nudge him and like he can comfortably get back to me when he wants to. And like we're super cool about it. And also like it's cool because like thankfully, like, even though like he's technically like an outside developer, like he is the partner of my business. Like we are a 50-50 partnership, you know what I mean? So like it is like we are Purified, so it's cool that like he's not some like outside guy that I gotta like hire and pay for time and do stuff. Like we just do this and then we all split all the profit of everything, which is like it's cool that we have no expenses like that and we can run this plugin company like 2 fucking bros. You know what I mean? And it rocks. But yeah, that's the basic like way that we get coding back and forth and get a basic working functional unit. I hope that answers your question for you.
Yeah, no, that does because it's like especially with the compensation part of it. I know I have a couple friends that are like have already started plugin companies, and like the one difference that I've seen is like, your company where you have the coder actually being a huge part of the company and ownership, and Caleb where it's like you're the coder and you're doing everything. And it's like the one thing that all these other guys complain about is like, like I hire a coder and then they get picked up by like Eventide or UAD and then I lose them. Or it's like, I hire a coder and then they want to keep charging me more and more and more, which is like, yes, they want to pay them. They want to make do. And it's like, there is something, and it's just how I treat music too. There is something to say about just like finding a person and being like, you know what, like, let's make a fair compensation for you and like figure this out. And like, so I don't have to like, worry about like, I have to make a tweak and then you're going to charge me kind of a thing. It's really interesting. Caleb, with coding with you, right? Like Sam was saying that what you guys are making are mostly more like, I guess like gear emulators, right? For lack of a better term. Caleb, you're kind of just like messing around with algorithms. What's that? I mean, I know so little about this. I don't even know like the right question to ask, but like, what's that like where it's like you write an algorithm, you see how it sounds and you're like, oh, I got to tweak it, in this direction, in this direction. Yeah. Like what's kind of the process like?
Honestly, it's so fun. It's like great. It's basically, I think my philosophy is like for what I'm trying to do, like the best way to do it is to not know what it's going to sound like before you build it. So what I always do is like start with a math idea, basically just like literally like purely what am I going to do with the numbers that represent the audio? Like come up with some idea that is like manipulating those numbers literally and not know what that is going to sound like and then implement it in code and hit play and see what it sounds like. And like 99% of the time it sounds terrible. And you're like, oh, well, okay, I'll like go restart and like try something else or like try to tweak that idea. Yeah. So for me, it's like really like it's really, really uncertain, and it's a process of, it's not design so much as just like experimenting and like, does that sound good? No. Does that sound good? No. Does that sound good? Oh, like that sounds kind of cool. Um,
Yeah.
and the trick is
I think,
to, yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, the trick is to be able to identify whether the thing you heard that sounds cool has the potential to be a real plugin, or if it's just like a one-time thing, or. So that's the hard part.
Yeah, dude, I admire that so much because it's honestly, it's like, I like how these two plugin companies, it's like that you guys do like kind of different things. And it's what I love about it as a producer, right? Where it's like, I want my plugins that I'm like, I know it does this thing, it's reliable, it sounds great. And then I
Yeah.
want like kind of creative plugins where it's like exactly what you're saying. Like, I just want to put it on and turn knobs on a sound and see what I can kind of like stumble upon by accident. Where it's like, I never would have done this, but like I hit that button and now it sounds dope. And like I get so many of my favorite sounds doing that, and it's like so cool to hear that like that's what your process is for making a plugin, where you're just like, I don't know, man, I'm just fucking around, like, and like I trust my gut, and like it's really, you're trusting your taste at the end of the
Yeah.
day, and you're like, I think this is cool, maybe other producers will think this is cool and they'll want to buy this from me.
Yeah, I think that's basically it. I have purposely like not learned too much about digital signal processing. Like I
Yeah.
have not read all the textbooks or like whatever. Like I've learned some of it, but I'm not an expert by any means. And I think I actually like it that way because I don't want to immerse myself in that world. I want to be somewhere else.
Dude, it's so funny. I was just this morning. Do you guys know the Tape Notes podcast? They're also like a
Yeah.
YouTube page, and Phineas was just on there with like, he was talking about the new project that he had with Ash, and they were talking about like, yeah, most of those sounds were just like live. And Phineas, like, I've worked with him. He's a great engineer, but he's like, I kind of don't want to learn too much because I like that I'm just like fucking around. And then he works with his mixer Aaron Forbes, who he's like, he'll come in and like kind of like make it, quote unquote correct. But he's like, I stumble upon great things just by just being like, I don't know, I'll put this here and like see what that fucking does. There's something beautiful in like the
Yeah,
of that.
exactly. I think you need both. And I may someday
Yeah.
get someone who actually is like a real expert in these things to like help me out.
Yeah. This is a question for both of you. I'm curious if maybe this is more about a little bit for Caleb because it's more on like the coding side, but Sam, it's definitely for us too because we're on the producer side and then like have the ears for these things. I have a whole text thread with other producers, some that you guys may know. Caleb, I think you know Doug Shot because he
Yeah,
made some for
he
you.
did presets, yeah.
But one of the his question, funny enough, was on oversampling specifically for distortion and like saturation plugins. Like, how necessary do you feel like it is to have oversampling, and like how do you approach that when thinking about your plugin, even when you're
Okay. Well, this is a topic that everyone has opinions on, obviously.
right?
It's also kind of a nerdy topic, right? Like
This is a nerdy podcast.
well, okay, oversampling is important. I think it's really good in certain cases, and it's not the case that it's always better because when you oversample, you
Right.
do lose things also. So it's a trade-off. It's not just better quality. It's there's a trade-off going on there in the upper frequencies that is really hard to hear. So ultimately, it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, because it's like because like you're not really hearing it anyway. But in some like cases where you're doing, especially if you're doing lots of distortion, like
Right.
I think oversampling is sometimes like necessary or like really important. But I don't know. It depends on the case, right? Like
Yeah, it always depends. That's like that should be like the name of this podcast. Like, it depends. Sam, what about you, man? What's your take on that?
Okay, so I think that like I think that audio engineers are fascinating in general, and I think like I didn't know a thing about oversampling, and I don't care whatsoever. You know what I mean? I like I actually like the other day like I was thinking about how like I was like listening to this podcast and like the 96K topic was coming up, and I was like. It's like, yeah, once I switched from 44 to 96, that's when like it really happened. I was like, I could leave tape. I'm like, what? Like, I don't know. Like I record a 44.1. I have oversampling on my plugins and I don't use it. I don't care. I've never sat down to like really go that nerdy about it. But like what I do appreciate is there's audio engineers who do care and are very fucking nerdy about that thing and get really like into like sending me emails and be like, hey man, when I was using your oversampling, like this was happening. And they're like using frequency curve, they're sending like plugin doctor things. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're sending me, but like
Hell
word.
yeah.
I'll send this over to like Ed, you know, like, and I like I don't find that annoying or anything. I find it really like fascinating and cool that there's a lot of people that like are in engineering that like that's the part of engineering that they really love. You know what I mean? Like where like I personally love the part of like making music, you know what I mean? But other people
Right.
are fascinated by like having like oversampling conversations and doing the things and
Mm-hmm.
testing it compared to like the other SSLs and like how is it actually one-to-one with the hardware and like get psycho, like amazing. Like I commend you for that. I don't care. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, I think it's what I've learned. It's like how nerdy, you know, it's like, I don't know, if it's something that interests you and it like hits that part of your brain, then like great. Like for me, it's like I don't hear a huge difference. I hear like an oversampling difference like when on the mix bus, just because like now everything is hitting it, especially where it's like uh you know, on limiters or clippers, when I do that oversampling, I'm like, okay, I'm noticing something here. And funny enough, like where I hear big oversampling, where it's like that's why I try and like mostly saying 48 is when I melodyne stuff, you know. And like if I had like the patience, I would probably like record a vocal and melodyne it at like 96 or you know one even higher, and then like and then bring it in there. But it just like melodyne does it does a weird, I don't know what it is, but it's I don't have the patience much. But yeah, that's like that's the one thing with my ear that I hear that I'm like, oh, even with audio, like this is doing a different thing now, and it's doing it better, and it's a little bit more natural. Like if like I had like a really huge client, I might be like, okay, I'll do it, and like my computer will hate me, but we'll live we'll live with it. Yeah, you know, one question that I have opinions on, but I don't make plugins and I don't own a company and I don't have the business side. But as smaller plugin companies, how do you guys decide pricing? You know, the difference between a $50 plugin, a $200 plugin, some of these $500 plugins. You know, I'm sure we all have opinions on that. Sam, I'll start with you, because you're smiling. Like, what's kind of like your philosophy with pricing?
I just really stumbled into a new pricing philosophy like with my sale that happened recently.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like I never like truthfully, that's the funny thing about like plugins I've kind of like found is that basically like what is the price of a plugin? Like what is actually like
Right.
what is actually happening there? And so when I start like, you know, talking and like go to NAM and like talk to these other companies, they'll be like, yo man, like how's your like iLog licensing fees and like what's your support fees? And I'm like, what? Like and they're talking about like all the outside stuff that they like run for their company. I'm like Jesus Christ, the amount of expenses you're just like listing off that I don't have. Like, am I doing something wrong? Should I have those expenses? Like,
Right.
but like, it's one of those things where like once they start doing that, and then like also I don't even really I've never like successfully run ads in my plugin. I don't even know how to do that. And like people are like, well, in order to like run ads, you have to have like something be like actually $20 or more. Otherwise, like the ads don't work. So like I don't, you know, I don't really understand the pricing structure on all that stuff. But like there's like a basic thing. My favorite number in the world is 38. So I'm just like, let's do it around 38, like $38, like 1380. Like when I released this like Death Western plugin, which was like modeled after this band, we made it $6.66 because the band is a like death metal themed band. So like shit like that. So like pricing for us is just like, I don't know. It's kind of like, this isn't my livelihood. It's just like a thing that we do that we can also like push and kind of move. And so like point is like we have enough plugins to do a bundle. You see everyone else's bundle, then you price yours. So I'm like, all right, how's like 238? This seems pretty good. And like we don't move that many of them, but sometimes they fucking sell at 238 and like cool. The other plugins sell like as well too. But like not enough to be like sick. Like I'm only paying expenses off of plugin money. You know what I mean? And then I like make a troll post and I'm like, hey, it's going to be less than $3. And then all of a sudden we have over 100,000 people purchase the plugin. Like it's insane. You know what I mean? Like,
Was it
So
that
like
many?
if you
Damn,
want to
that's
make,
crazy. Holy
yeah, absolutely. More than that. Yeah. And less than
damn.
7 days. And so like, that's the type of thing where it's like, all right, I guess people like want to pay like $3 to $5 or something. And like, if you could sell 100,000 of those, that's some pretty fucking decent money. Like, especially if it's just me and Ed splitting it, like that's amazing. And so like the next plugin we put out, like I don't know what the fuck I'll price it at because like
Well,
we
that's
can
what I was
fucking
about to
do
say.
anything.
Where
You know what I mean? Like we have this crazy
yeah,
range. Like no one knows what the fuck we'll do, but like we have like over 200,000 customers in our store that we can fucking market that to and send an email to and say there's a new product, and some people will buy it. You know what I mean? Like so we'll find out. I mean, like I personally think pricing is like this unique like thing that like I in my book of like what just happened in my store, like I did the like Little Nas X like Old Town Road thing where like now songs aren't 3 minutes and 30 seconds long, they're a minute and 30. You know what I mean? Like
right.
this is like now plugins may not be $30 anymore. They may be like $5 to $10 because of like how successful this was in my company. You know what I mean? So like I don't know. Like we're gonna find out, but I'd be curious to hear like what Caleb's thing is and like how he prices.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like figures that
But
out.
yeah, for our listeners too, like in case you don't know, like Caleb, like you only have the one plugin out right now, so like because
Yeah.
you're a very brand new company. But yeah, with that knowledge, like kind of what was your like philosophy and like thought process behind it?
Yeah. Well, I think that's great. And I think people are realizing that plugin prices are way less set than we thought they were.
Yeah.
Because the secret is like when I sell a plugin to you, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
I am literally, it cost me $0
Yeah, it's your
to,
time
it's
and setting up
like,
your basic store functionality of like
yeah,
expenses, et
yeah. But
cetera.
the
Yeah.
marginal cost, like what, like, you buy a plugin, like I literally like made $32, my plugin's $32.
Yeah.
And I made $32 and did not do a single thing. And so
Yeah.
and it cost me $0 to do that. And so it's really weird. So I chose 32 because it felt low and I was like, well, also the other thing about the plugin industry is people like pirate all the time. Like piracy is
Hmm.
so common. And
Yeah.
yeah, as you're saying, a lot of plugin companies invest so much money in these like iLok or whatever third party licensing systems that are just really annoying to use and like
Yeah.
you have to fucking get like a USB stick and like plug it into your
Yeah,
computer.
you ever lose an iLok? Let
Oh
me
my
tell you.
God,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
have.
Exactly.
It's awful. Yeah, so I did not want to do iLok, and it costs so much money to sign up as a plugin company for
Yeah.
iLok.
So
I did
much.
not want
So
to do
much
that.
money.
And honestly, even the iLok plugins, people pirate them. Like
Hmm.
the way I view it is, if you want to get my plugin for free, you can get it for free. Like, you can go on the internet and find
Yeah.
it for free.
Bravo. Yeah.
And you know, if you want to support me in what I'm doing, like that's great, and you should go buy it. And it's not that expensive. So I think future plugins that I make probably will be around the same price. I don't really know. Yeah, I haven't thought about
Yeah,
it. I mean, it's like really, I'm not
it's
sure.
tough. Like my outside take on this as a user and buyer of many plugins and not having pirated one in 10 years is
Yeah.
is
Same.
for me it's like if I see a plugin in like the $30 to $60 range that like does that like seems interesting enough, especially like for me personally, like creative plugin, I'm buying that almost every single time. Where I'm like, price is right. I love supporting small companies and small businesses, and for me, it's like $30, $40, $50 to like help out a company that's getting started or like that's smaller. Like, great, like that's awesome. Um, I met a plugin maker who I want to remain nameless for now, but they only have like 2 or 3 plugins. Like they are so not well known, and they're pricing their like plugins at like $200 a pop, and like they do like one thing, and I'm just like, and it's like they're like, yeah, like I don't know why the plugin company's not start taking off. Like we've been selling these plugins for like 4 or 5 years, and I'm just like, well, that's like such like a huge buy-in price. Like you're asking your like in my opinion you're asking your customers too much. Like I even hate when like the big plugin companies like UAD or whatever, they're like, we have this new compressor, it's $250. And I'm just like, what do you mean it's
Yeah.
$250? Like it's code. Like what are you talking about? And so, I do think that the plugin world and game is changing with like so many smaller plugin companies making such incredible plugins, and like AI is a real thing where we can make plugins so much easier now, and like even like Caleb was saying, where it's like I couldn't have done that without ChatGPT, and like you made an incredible plugin with that, and like I think it's almost like the disruption of like, you know, people having studios in their bedrooms versus like huge
Yeah,
studios.
that's what it feels
It's like it's that same kind of
It's
disruption
people
now where
popping up
it's like,
every day, and you're like, whoa, that's crazy. Like another plugin card, like that's really sick. Like, you know.
yeah. I feel like for me, like the first one, obviously not the first one, but the first one of those types were like Aberrant DSP, where it's like it was
Yeah.
just like these like two kids. They're like, yeah, we just made this like sketch cassette plugin, and everyone was like, yo, have you guys seen this like dope $20 plugin? And like now they're making, I don't know how well they're doing, but like I know everyone has that plugin that I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, you know, I think it says something.
That's really cool.
Yeah, you know, I'm looking at my note here, and it's the next topic, and I already started talking about it. But AI in the future of plugins, right? We were talking a little bit that, like, at least Caleb, you're already using AI to like help you write some of the code. What's your guys, Sam? I'll start with you, man. What's your take on AI being used not only to make plugins, but being used as like utility plugins? Like personally, I'm very excited about uh, AI tools. I don't even know if it's like technically AI, but like a plugin like Dynassist that is doing clip gaining vocals for me. Like those types of plugins, I'm really really excited about. Like, how do you, as a producer and maybe a plugin maker now, see AI coming into play? And like, do you guys have plans to like make any tools like that in the future?
Yeah, so we brainstormed about a lot of this stuff, but it's funny because like a lot of my idea and like wish for AI like use inside of my like world, it's a good friend of mine, Jacob Durrett. He basically was like, I don't want I want my AI to like help me prep my meal and help me clean up, but I'm gonna cook it all and eat it all. But
All right.
like instead, they're basically like, hey, AI is going to cook the whole thing for you. All you got to do is prep it and clean it. It's like, that's not what I want it for. That actually sucks. You know what I mean? That's the opposite reason. It's like, it's kind of like Melodyne. It's like, oh, dude, we'll tune your vocals for you. All you got to do is fix the bad tuning that we do on it. So you're just going to go through it all and fix the bad things that we did on it. And it's really awesome, right? You know, it's like, I want it to do the right things that I want it to do. So like, I want it to like help me identify transients better to edit and do beat detective as opposed to like do my beat detective for me. You know what I mean? Like, or
Right.
the main thing that I'm really excited about it with is like bleed separation in the future. Like it's gonna be amazing doing live fucking like things and being like sick. I can like isolate that vocal so well and clean that out. Like that's the type of stuff that I'm like really excited about it personally. And the other I do like the idea of it like, you know, analyzing things and like the new kick one that came out that's like, oh, just fucking drop in a sample and it will make a version of it. Like Synplan is cool. Like I think
Yeah.
like things that like generative, like things like that are pretty cool. And I really like the creative aspect of it. But I do really fear with the whole thing where it's like, oh, dude, let us like we'll do the vocal for you. We'll sing it. It's like, no. We like singing it. Make it sound it. You know what I mean?
No.
So like as long as it's like a really cool, like functional thing that is actually like helping us make better choices and better decisions, then I'm all for it. Like otherwise, like Suno and things like that, that's like, yeah, here's your song. It's like that's not what I need. You know what I mean? That's not the AI
Yeah.
thing and tools that I'm looking for personally. You know what I mean? Like
No, I'm in the same boat. Like as a producer, vocal producer, songwriter,
mhm.
I want tools, and I will pay a lot of money for tools that
Yeah,
will save me time. I like
yeah,
that is very valuable to me. Like if you're telling
yeah,
me like I know I was just saying like $200 is steep for a plugin, but if it's a plugin that will save me hours or
yeah.
days, it's like, yep, that's worth it. I'm in. And like those are the types of things, because like, you know, I was talking
Like
like
Revoice.
again,
Like the first time I
yeah,
bought
like
Revoice, it was expensive. You know what I mean? It's like, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna pay like $700 for this plugin. And it's like, oh my God, like it has standardized my workflow and like my vocal, you know what I mean, process. Like, sure,
yeah, you
let's
know,
like
exactly. Like
I don't regret paying $700 for that plugin, but that was a fucking
no.
steep plugin. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's and like for me, like that, you know, like revoice vocal line, like all those things that it's just like, oh man, that's steep, but like man, I have saved so much
yeah,
time, and that time is money, and like especially when you have kids and a family and stuff, like and other
yeah.
shit to do, it's really, you know, invaluable for that. So yeah, like I'm really like I'm looking every day. I'm even like reaching out to companies, be like, yo, like I will help you come up, or like like you can even like base your AI off of like something I do, where I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's like if you just give me that plugin for free after that, like great. I just want these tools to like help me save time. I was trying to find Dynastis is the closest one. I was trying to find something that can
Yeah.
do like clip gaining the way I do. I'm like an obsessive vocal clip gainer and tuner and stuff. And like Dynastis is very good, but it's not
Yeah.
quite there yet. It's
I
so
do like
close.
Dynassist as like a thing.
Yeah.
Like if I have a
Yeah.
real serious problematic thing before I'm about to fucking like try to comp it up and like I use Dynassist, I'm
Mhm.
like, wow, that was sick. You know what I mean? But like
Right.
besides that, like to do like the detailed like shit that you're talking about, like that's not gonna happen. It's gonna like repair some
No.
fucked up shit as opposed to make some like really good stuff like a little bit better. You know, instead it's gonna do some
Yeah. Yeah.
dramatic weird shit on a good thing, you know, that you're like, okay, let's undo this, let's undo this. Like, and like I'm saying, like the whole process of like, oh dude, we'll do it for you. All you gotta do is clean it up. It's like that sucks,
Right.
dude. That's not what I wanted to do, you know?
Yeah. Caleb, what about like with you? Because like you're actively using AI to help create your plugins. Like, what are you kind of like
Yeah.
looking for in like that whole conversation of like the use of it in music and plugin creation?
Oh yeah. I mean, I mostly share that attitude. Like I think there's really annoying cases of AI, Suno. And
Right.
then there's like other like really cool ones. Like there's multiple different things, right? So there's one is like just machine learning models, right? And then
Hmm.
another is like large language models like ChatGPT, right? And these are different things. So like just machine learning models, I'm like
Yeah.
in general super into and I think are doing really cool things. And a lot of that like like stem splitting stuff is that like a lot of like really interesting stuff where the plugin company isn't like this is an AI plugin like but under the hood they're like using a machine learning model to do something really impressive.
Right.
I think that's really sick. For like the Suno UDO type stuff, I don't know, personally I haven't been interested in it that much because it just doesn't seem crazy like creative to me, but some of the really early ones, there was one called Google Jukebox that I
Yeah.
really got interested in. You know that, yeah. And it was kind
Yeah.
of bad. It was like really, the sample rate was really low, and it was like the quality was bad. But man, and it was weird. Like it wouldn't generate kind of what you expected, but man, it was doing like really creative, like kind of alien things, like sounds from an alien world. And I was like, man, this is like really cool. Like, and I feel like now they've gotten so good at just reproducing like the generic country song or whatever, or like the generic pop song. But
No, I mean that's what it's good for. It's gonna like AI, like Suno and stuff, is gonna be great at making mediocre songs. And like
yeah,
there's a and unfortunately like that's gonna affect sync. That's gonna affect. I think it's gonna affect like, for lack of a better term here, like the least talented people. I think for people like who are making like really great music, like pop music and left leaning, like stuff that's like really changing the game. Like I don't think it's gonna affect those people at all. And hopefully
yeah,
we're gonna
but
continue
like
to take steps. Yep, go ahead.
oh, but like bring back like the bad AI. Like I want like the one
Yeah.
that's like weird and like doesn't really do what you want it to do and like like I want that because I think it's really creative. It can be like a really creative tool. So
But I agree. I think like that's like kind of more interesting, right? Where it's like kind of like how like what I was saying, like how I use plugins sometimes, and like how you make your how you make your plugin is that you're just like, oh, random, and like, oh, that's cool. Like I guess we'll take that and like whatever. Okay, but that's a different a whole AI thing.
yeah.
I want to talk about maybe not about your specific plugin companies. And Sam, I'm curious about your take on this because I think you did this right. Um, about like creating the next like the better 1176, the next LA2A. It's like there's countless emulations of these
Mm.
plugins, and it's what I appreciated about the VU compressor is that it was like cool. It's doing a thing that's already been done, right? Where it's like there's already a bunch of like 76s and whatever, but it's like it made it in like, oh look, they're all in here and exactly how you used it in real life, which is like funny. It's like clearly how the plugin is meant to be made. Where it's like cool, I can quickly like
Mm.
go through and like see which one I like better. Um, what do you feel that pressure where it's like I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question better, but like the difference between like creating like an original like this is a brand new plugin that no one has seen, or it's like I'm basing it off gear that I have, kind of like what's your kind of thought process behind that?
Yeah, so I have like kind of a pretty strong opinion about like the one-to-one emulation advertised kind of plugin market, which
Right.
I do think is a really like you're getting into some bad territory, especially with a bunch of nerds. You know what I mean? And like to
Right.
try and also like also like licensing issues with fucking companies if you're just like straight up fucking
Right.
doing clones of stuff and just doing a different GUI of stuff. You know what I mean? And so like I've never really been interested in doing that, but like with the exception of like the one that's like basically a straight up clone is the micro limiter because it needed to exist as a plugin. You know,
Right.
and it has 3 knobs, so like that's it. But I'm not like I'm personally never really been interested in the one-to-one thing because like I personally just love hardware so much. I love the workflow of hardware and I love like the workflow of what I do with my hardware. And so and like I mean, dude, just like owning so many different EQs and stuff like that, like dude, you can use EQ in the box all day. And the second you put it out onto the outboard one, like it just shapes it in a way that like
Yep.
it's just not it's never going to be a fucking one-to-one thing no matter like what everyone like says like it's just the vibe is different, everything about it is different, you know what I mean? And so I'm not interested in trying to sell that process and like do that thing, which is like thankfully a cool thing for me, you know what I mean? Like works out well for me. And also like the other thing that is like the easy thing to get trapped into is like we're talking about like pricing structure and stuff like that. Like it's pretty easy to be like, all right, sick, I made a plugin that's like $38. If I could sell 1,000 of those, then I'll make fucking, $38,000. Like that's amazing. Like, and like I've got, this many followers, like we could do this. And like we like, oh my God, we hit that goal. Now let's make another plugin and try to do that again. Like it's really easy to get caught in like this kind of like the funnel of it and like the cycle of it and like treat it like it's a record label. Be like, all right, sick. You pumped out that first album, get out there, go tour that, promote that. Sick.
Right.
Let's do it again. Get back in the studio, get out there, do that, make it even better. Same thing, but better. Totally like it's really easy to get, like have those people kind of push that type of thing on you. And so like there's plugin fatigue, you know what I mean? Like everyone's doing fucking plugins. Everyone's making plugins. And like
Yep.
those companies who are making plugins, they're fucking making as many fucking plugins as they can because like they're high on their own fucking shit. You know, it's really easy to like I can see how easy it is to fall into that like mindset and just like get it going if the machine is going. But yeah, like for me, it's like I make records. And so I use fucking shit and then I try to make my records in the box like and do something. And I'm like, it sucks that this isn't a thing and then we make it. You know what I mean? So it's sick
Right.
because
That
like
that's the
I'm
process.
solving
Yeah.
I'm solving a workflow thing. I'm on the front line fucking being a fucking Marine, killing it on the fucking, you know what I mean? Out there in battle, doing the thing, designing the guns and the shit that we're using to fucking tear apart the fucking world and change the world. You know what I mean? Like, so it's awesome to like be in that kind of mindset where it's like, sick. I'm not like making plugins where it's like, all right, what's next? Let's get it going, boys. How about we clone this? How about we do this? Like, let's get this going. Like, how about this GUI? Same thing, but different. Like, instead, it's like, whatever is my actual idea, we'll focus on it. I have a bunch of fucking ideas. Like, I have way too many fucking ideas. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, yeah, and like, that's the other thing too is like, everyone has an idea. Like, it's amazing that I have ideas, but like, actually putting it out there and implementing it is another thing. And like, making it
Yep.
really good and like competing with the other people that are out there. So, like, yeah, like the more of the plugins that like I want to make in the future are the furthest away from like being a one-to-one emulation or instead are just like an amalgamation of a lot of ideas and a lot of things where you're like, Jesus Christ, if I just open this one GUI, I could do everything in there. This is amazing. And it's not overwhelming and overloaded with fucking variables and fucking analysis paralysis shit. You know what I mean? Like I want it to be like real intuitive, real simple, real easy to use, and like a really turnkey solution to get from point A to point B. And like that's the only stuff that I really am interested in developing personally, you know?
Yeah. No, dude, I get that. Hey, gang, I just wanted to pop in here to let you know that the best way you can help this podcast grow is to rate and review us wherever you listen to podcasts. It tells the algorithm to push our show to other listeners so we can grow, and it's one of, if not the best way to help support this podcast. So if you wouldn't mind, take a second to rate this podcast. Sharing it with your friends would be amazing too. All right, back to the pod. Caleb, I know like you're not really making plugins based off of gear, but as a plugin maker yourself, a music maker yourself, like what's kind of your take on it? Just like, oh, another LA2A emulation, sick. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like I respect the grind,
Hey, but it's
like
free from UA, dude. You know?
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I use the UAD plugins. I use emulations of things.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
But
we
I
all do.
like
Yeah.
I am literally never going to make like an LA2A emulation that's any better or really any fundamentally different than any other LA2A. Like, nor am I ever really going to make like an EQ that's fundamentally different from any other EQ. Nor am I really
Right.
ever going to make like a reverb that's just a reverb that's like fundamentally different from any other reverb. Like, I'm trying to make something that's like not a thing yet, you know? Like,
Right.
I don't know. I think people forget that like plugins are for music. Like, it's about music, right? Like you were saying, like the end of the day, the goal is like creativity and like making music. It's not about like let's get the best hardware. Cause yeah, you're right that the one-to-one thing is a lie. It is simply not
Yeah.
like physically possible to make exact emulation of an analog thing in the digital world. It's just like impossible. You can get close, but and there are really good
Yeah.
ones, obviously. But
Especially
so
when you get some of those real pieces of gear and you start using them and you're like,
you're like, oh, this is better.
oh,
Like, yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like better or different. Like, I still love I have the Audioscape 76D that I adore and I really love. And it's like there are times when it's like the CLA 76, maybe because it's familiar or whatever, but it just does a thing that I'm like, right, but it does a thing that people enjoy. It like it's hitting certain frequencies that just like are pleasing. And it's a plugin that's 25 years old, at this point. It's just
That's
like, all
great.
right, like
Yeah.
sounds good. It's just like they're I like that's why I said like they're different and they're hitting different things. And like Sam was saying, it's like there is something so amazing about like having a piece of gear. It's just like having a real synth and like turning the knobs.
Yeah.
It hits a different part of my brain and like it gets me excited in a very different way when I'm doing that. Like when I'm reaching over to my 76 here and like putting all buttons in and like really starting to do the thing. I'm just like, ooh, like this is fun. It's I don't know,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
different thing, and that's
Yeah.
okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, to go with along with that, by the way, like about the VU
yeah,
compressor, for example, is like, we've all used
yeah.
the CLA 76 and the Bomb Factory
Right,
76 and the Blah Blah 76. And like, I have every version of the 1176 that I made from Hairball. And like, they're all fucking tweaked. And
right.
I just made two more the other day. But like, using those is just like it's funny because I made the Hairballs and I had an actual UA one. And it just sounded way better than the actual UA one. So I sold the UA one and like bought all the hairballs with the money from the
So
UA
funny.
one. But like, so,
Yeah,
which like really, got me into like really building gear and et cetera, et cetera. But like, it's one of those like, I'd be working on something that I didn't record. And I'm just like using CLA 76 and doing the stuff. And I'm just like, dude, it doesn't sound as good. And then I plug in mine and it's like, this is so much better. I'm just going to sit
yeah,
here and just print all these vocals through my fucking thing. And then all of a sudden you get to like working on some tracks like that. And it's like, Jesus, I've got like 14 stereo vocal tracks. And like, I'm going to have to like spend a lot of time printing all these. Like, it would be so amazing if I could get this 4:1 sheen and setting in here. And even if it's not even 1:1, if it's better than the plugins that I'm using and more close to this, then I'm happy. I'm super stoked. You know, that's like why I personally was like, well, that's why I'll make another 1176 thing. Cause like I didn't have one that sounded that way, that worked that way, but I have one that definitely
right.
gets me fucking closer and that I love using and other people really appreciate too, So, but yeah, it's like, I love hardware, and that's why I fucking want to make more fucking plugins. It's because I love and buy and abuse so much hardware.
Yeah, dude. I mean, listen, that's just like the most fun part, in my opinion, about being a producer is that, I love new toys. I love whether it's like a physical thing or a digital thing. I just love having something new that's gonna make me feel inspired and like, do a thing. Like Caleb, seriously, like when I got your plugin, new Distort, like that was one of the most like inspiring things plugins I've like used in a while. Where I was like, oh shit,
Appreciate that.
like
Yeah.
this is different.
So,
Like this is doing something. Yeah, it's for our listeners who haven't checked it out. It's like really like kudos. I'm very excited
Thanks.
to see
Yeah.
like what you're gonna
Yeah.
put out next. I want to move on to our next little topic here. Kind of some like fun for plugin makers that kind of like lightning round short answers here. Some fun, some serious. You'll find out. Caleb, I'll start with you, man, and this will go to both you guys. What plugin do you wish never existed?
Um, um,
I know it's a really hard question
Let
because
me
there's so
think
many.
about that. Are there any plugins that I truly hate?
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
My only honest answer is like a lot of analog emulation plugins.
Yeah.
But I don't wish they didn't exist. I mean, I just don't personally see any use for them. But
Yeah, that's fair. Sam, I feel like you got an opinion on this. Just by the smile.
Yeah, it's funny. I guess initially, I really hated Soothe. And I really couldn't stand it, especially because I think everyone was kind of like overusing it in really bad ways where it's like, oh, you put them on cymbals, oh, put it on guitar, and everything was just and so I remember there was like one of my favorite stories is like I was working on a record that Eric Valentine was mixing, and like one of my biggest complaints was the bass tone. And I was like, let's go through the bass tone. And it was like the one thing on the record that he literally didn't even fucking touch. It was like exactly the same settings and setup that he in the same session. And the only thing that he did was he put Soothe on it. And I was like, what? Bypass that. And I'm like, dude, now it sounds amazing. But I really like Soothe 2. I think Soothe 2 is a phenomenal plugin. And I especially for its side chaining low end options.
Yep.
But I don't personally get along with it for like top end resonance control. It just doesn't work for me. I still like, I would rather use FabFilter for that. I get better results from that. But yeah, the only one that could come to mind is like Soothe. Like I personally like don't really, I actually like think plugins in general are really fucking cool. And like just fascinating in general. There's never been anything that's like annoying to me or anything. It's like, if anything, it's like annoying that like people, it's like homogenized and it's like the only other one I was thinking of is like, oh, probably like the Get Good Drums Modern and Massive thing, because every fucking record uses that sound now. So like that sound, and like the way it gets homogenized into like a thing where everyone is doing the exact thing. So it's funny, like people say that about autotune, but I don't think autotune is that. You know what I mean? Like I think autotune like has like a thing that like delivers like a cool like sound and stuff, but like it doesn't make everyone's drums sound the exact same. It's like the era of everyone using Lin drums, and it's like, all right, sick. Can we get a new drum machine instead of the Lin drum machine plays? Yeah.
Right. It's like let's move on. Yeah, that's actually really true. I never thought about it like that, but it does make sense. Yeah, for me, it's like I don't have a plugin I wish never existed. I just like the closest one I could think of is OTT. But only, kind of for like the same for the same reason of like Soothe, where it's like OTT can be amazing, but it's so easy to like be overused and like now your track is lifeless. And like the same thing with like Soothe, where it's like people are like putting Soothe on everything just because they're like, well, I was told if I put Soothe on all my tracks, everything will sound better. And it's like, well, now your track feels like it has like no randomness and no life, and like it just like I don't know, it just like it loses like that thing that made it feel musical. As opposed to like, again, like, so it's like using those tools like that, like OTT and Soothe, like purposefully, not just because it's like, well, I've been told to put OTT on this, so I put OTT on this. And
there's a lot of hype. Like the hype I find annoying, but the plugins themselves, like, I don't know. Like,
no, exactly. It's just, I think it's like people, you know, it's like, exactly, hype plugins where you're just like, whoa, I just turned this knob and it sounds like better and hyped, and it's like, well, no, now it's just like it's more it's more saturated, it's more exciting, but it's not necessarily.
I feel like Slate VCC was that one for a lot of people. Like everyone got Slate. It was like, oh my god, I got the tape and I got the console, and I'm fucking baking it with tape. I'm baking it with console on every channel, on every single channel of it, and then I also have like the fucking. I'm using the Brightener one, and I'm using like the SSL emulation one. I'm using it's like channel comp 2. I'm like hitting it a little bit. Like everyone's just like using, like they're all just like playing video games with plugins, and it's like, dude, like I swear to God, we can bypass like all And so it's so fucking easy. Maybe that's like what that dude Jeff Ellis's like mixer brain thing is that he's referencing or whatever. Is like kids that are just like, I'm mixing. It's like, dude, hey, you're like in fucking like. You're in dream world, like being like, it's sick. I'm doing a fake console workflow. I'm Crystal Algae. This is amazing, right? Doesn't it sound amazing? It's like, it's like that one Walter White's kid, and he's like pressuring everything into the distortion, and they're like, it's beautiful, you know?
Yep, I know exactly which one you're talking about. Yeah, dude, it's just like a thing too. I think like every producer and mixer, like once a month, should have to like mix a record only using stock plugins. And just like to remind yourself, just be like, right, like I don't need all these like crazy tools. Like they're fun, and it's like there's a time for them to like use them creatively, but it's like they're not gonna, you know, it's like I say it a lot on the podcast, but it's like one more plugin and I'll be great, you know. It's like that's not...
Okay, so OTT, that's another funny one. Is so like I had put OTT on my mix bus a long time ago, and I put it to 1% because I
Yeah,
saw
that's
Spike Stent mention that, and I was like, "That's." And so then one time I was talking to Andy and Adomi, who's our mutual friend Justin, but he was like, "Oh yeah, like Max Martin's camp like does it up to like 5%." I'm like, "What? Jesus Christ!" And so like I had tried it up to like 5%. I'm like, it's really bright and like really exciting and does that cool thing. And so like I was living around like 3 to 4%, and then sometimes like I'd get like a revision and then someone would be like, yeah, I feel like the whole thing could just be like a little bit more like produced sounding. I'm like, sick, let's go to 5 on OTT. And like,
yeah,
so recently I had my own bias where I was like, you know what? Like you eventually get to a point where you're like, why does my template have 6 plugins on the mix bus? Like, let me just turn all those off. And then I'm like recording, and then each one kind of goes one by one again. And you're like, this is why I had it on, because I like that. And so then the other one was OTT the other day. I had it on at like 1% the other day, and I was like, we're gonna go back up to 4%. And it sounded great, you know. But yeah, like it's one of those like I have a weird bias towards OTT for some reason. Like, why am I afraid to turn up the percentage?
It's a taste thing at the end of the day too, and it's like OGT is definitely like it does a thing that like is pleasing to a lot of people's ears, and it's like I go back and forth with OGT on my mix bus. I never put it past 5. I think like once it gets past that zone, it's just like okay, now it's like it's doing the OGT thing that I hate, that like super mid scooped, you know, kind of thing.
But that's tight, dude. I love that.
Yeah. Another quick question here: what's the weirdest feature request you've ever had come in from like a client or a customer, if you guys even get that?
Man, people, I mean, if I put in every feature request, my plugin would literally be a full screen of knobs of every imaginable. I think the weirdest ones are people who are like, could you please put in like, I would love a like 10 bank filter on pre and post, and also knobs for this. I would love to be able to tweak this and this and this. I'm like, dude, like, have you seen my plugin? It's got like 8 knobs. Like, the point is that it's really simple. Like, it's not like the point is not to like tweak stuff.
Right.
I think that's been weird. I think that's the only weird
I was
one.
gonna say, Sam, was like, have you guys gotten any like wild like feature requests that you're just like, what the fuck are you smoking? Like,
Yeah, there's one guy who will hit up my plugin developer, and sometimes will hit me up, and he sends like long lists of like weird esoteric old, and it's like pedals where it's like, yeah, man, this was the one that was used on like this Boston record that hasn't been done yet, like just like weird esoteric like stuff. It's like, cool, man, like but yeah, like no one's sent anything like really fucking strange off the wall, but like I mean there's been a couple of like pretty unique ideas that people have like floated me where I'm like, Jesus, that's actually a really smart idea. And that's a really complicated thing that like I could never do, but like that's really cool, you know, like just even things like I think it just started getting, I think there was one company that did it recently, but like a look after feed forward or feedback like true peak limiter. So it's like looking at the actual clipping of it and then actually adjusting the input and like stuff like that, like shit like that, where and like latency free versions of those. It's like, wow, geez, like that, like I don't know if I can make that. I don't know how to pitch that to someone, but like that's a really cool idea, you know. So but yeah, nothing too strange.
honestly, latency free things are just like, say what you want about God Particle, but that thing has like near 0 latency. And like when I'm like recording a singer and they're like, oh, can we just make the track bump a little more with like 0 latency and like, you know, whatever. I mean, I don't have to worry about latency because I'm using UAD, but like that's what I tell a lot of producers, where it's like, you want like to do that, just like whatever your views on God Particle, it can do that, which is really nice.
Is it 0 latency?
It's pretty near 0 latency. It's pretty damn good. Yeah, it's like pretty for like how much it's doing. It's like, damn, like okay, that's like doing many things. And
I like that part.
Yeah. And last kind of lightning round question here is, should there be a mix knob on 98% of plugins? Sam, I'll go with you because you have a couple more plugins. That, like obviously, like but like EQ plugins, like I understand like why they don't have a mix knob, but like this is like the one in my producer text chain where like mix knobs, what's that about? You know?
Yeah, I think mix knobs like are a cool concept and idea, especially like with parallel in general. I do personally find less desirable results with like parallel stuff, and I find the best results treating the dry as the parallel as opposed to the main thing. So like most people like will be like, oh yeah, you blend it a little to the dry. It's like I'm actually very much the opposite of that. But yeah, I personally like I'm not a big mix knob fan in general. I don't really use them that often. I would rather just like fader it out if I'm actually going to do that. But yeah, I don't find parallel processing like necessary unless it's like a fucking delay and reverb. And then I personally like that's where it's like it's crucial for me because like I don't use buses or like effects returns. Like that's console day bullshit. Like we're in a plug, you know what I mean? Like you can do every channel and any plugin, just put on the reverb plugin and set your mix knob. Like so, yes, I do love them on like effects and stuff like where they're like super necessary. But like on every single thing, like sure, whatever. Maybe it has a cool feature, but like for it to become standardized is like kind of sad, you know?
Yeah, no, I get it. Kale, what about you? Because
Oh,
your Nudist has
yeah, it's
Nudist
got a
has
mix
a
knob.
mix knob.
That's funny. I didn't even realize
It
this
needs
was a
it.
controversy. Yeah, it definitely needs it.
Dude,
I don't.
it's a thing where it's like so many producers were like, it's just like I just want most of my plugins to have a mix knob. And like
Uh-huh.
I get like kind of the allure of like I go back and forth on it. There's some plugins where I'm like, this doesn't need a mix knob, and there's some where it's like, I kind of wish this one had a mix knob. And it's like it's what I
Yeah.
appreciated about like at least like one of the, if not the biggest plugin company, Waves, like re-releasing some of their plugins with like a mix knob, where I was like, okay, you listened to like people that like had said they wanted this for like years, and they finally like did it on the speaking of the CLA 76, they finally added a mix knob to it.
Yeah, I don't expect ever making a plugin that doesn't need a mix knob. I'll probably put a
Right.
mix knob on every plugin.
Yeah.
Because
For
you're
me, it's
mostly
an
also
easy
you're making
way.
like effect based ones, right? Like
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm not
Yeah.
making like something. I
Just make it
also
experience.
Right.
yeah, it's not like I mean, maybe if I make a really subtle plugin, honestly, even then though, like it's just an easy way to let someone turn down what if they don't like it or like make it
Right.
less obvious.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, no one wants
Do
to
you
use the
feel
rainbow
like
machine on 100. Yeah.
right? Do you feel like Kim, this is more a question for you in the development stage. Do you run into any like phasing issues with like mix knob, making that, or is it just like because it's software, it's just like it's non-existent?
Well, you have to be careful to delay your mix knob at the same latency as the process of the plugin. Um,
Right.
but no, I mean, if your plugin has known latency is you delay it at exactly the same number of samples.
If you're good at your job, it's not a problem. Like that's what you're telling
No,
me.
I mean, unless your plugin's latency is constantly is for some reason like undefined or changing or whatever. But I don't think
Right.
that's. And if it is, then it doesn't matter anyway. Honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like my always worry where it's like on a mix knob it's like I never really hear, but sometimes when I like do it as a send, I don't know if it's like I'm just like tricking myself into thinking there's like a phase thing or not. I just like
Yeah,
I don't
maybe
fucking know.
some plugins they do a zero latency mix knob if they want it. Actually,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure.
The one that does it, which is like actually really fucking annoying, but like I get why they didn't think about it, is another, I guess you can technically call them indie, but they're like super well known as Valhalla.
Oh.
I love to use their Valhalla delay as like a distortion box.
Yeah, I do that too.
It's
That's
like
great.
right, like setting it to 0 milliseconds, but what sucks is that like that 0 milliseconds, even if there's like no feedback, it's not.
Yeah, it's not 0 0.
You know what's
No,
funny
it's
is even
not.
on hardware delay pedals that I've tested before, like I've done this on my fucking like delay pedal. Like even if you are sending audio through your carbon copy and out with it off, it's fucking delayed. Like it actually like is like
Yeah.
because I'll do beep tests and stuff like that. So like I feel like just delay in general, it's not possible for its wet to be on because
Yeah,
it's
like
automatically calculating for its fucking initial delay that would have at 0. You know what I mean? Like or whatever. Like so. Yeah, it's like funny that you're saying that that's what happens with Valhalla, but like that is true to hardware in my experience. You know what I mean?
yeah, it makes sense. Like when I do, I'm like, okay, I understand why it's like this. Like they didn't like think to like do it like that, but it's
Yeah,
like
that's.
I've like
I wonder if they can. You know?
yeah, they're the only company that I've been like that dude about like kind of like talking about like feature requests where I'm just like, can you guys just make a distortion plugin like just based off these distortion models you already have?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it shouldn't even be that much more work.
It sounds
for our
so
listeners.
good.
And yeah, for our listeners, like one of my favorite distortion sounds is on the ghost delay mode. On the Valhalla delay, it's like this specific kind of distortion that I don't know, just like tickles me in the right way, and I'm just like, I just want that. It's like a fucking thing. I want to be able to mix it in instead of like, do the thing. Okay, so we're gonna go on to our last little segment here. It's called In the Bounce Folder, and for you guys and for our listeners, this is the part where you guys get to plug. Usually for our producers, it's something that they have coming out soon, or I call it like kind of like producer show and tell, where it's like, oh, I got this new piece of gear. I think it's really cool. Just anything you want to plug before we wrap here. Caleb, man, I'll start with you. What's in your bounce folder?
Yeah, well, I'm working on a new plugin right now. It's like in development. It's like still in the, experimenting stages. The fun
Sick.
part, So at some point that will be out. But I mean,
what's like the experimenting stages? Like, is it like you just work on it by yourself, or you're like sending it out to like a couple close like friends and stuff to like give you feedback?
Oh
Like,
no,
what's that?
it's by myself. I will send it out once it's at that point, but it's not at that point yet.
Right.
But yeah, I will, and I have a whole beta testing community. If you want to join, be a beta tester for me, just go to my website,
Awesome.
email me. That's great. There's a Discord server.
The website, I have it here. It's nudistaudio.com.
Nudistaudio.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
what I'm
sick, man.
doing.
We need more beta testers. Sam, man, what about you? What's in your bounce folder?
Man, I mean, my life kind of just changed quite a bit after my sale there. I basically like had a bunch of to-do list things that I wanted to kind of knock out. I've been in the like amalgamation like stage of my studio for a while. I kind of like got to a point where I'm like, all right, I'm about to enter a new like lease on my place, and like I'm about to like plan the next like 10 to 15 years of Panda and like how I want to operate out of there. So like I've really been like trying to knock out a wish list of like all the stuff that I want and what I want to do. And a lot of that is like really building into like making future plugins around, and like I have a bunch of guitar amps that like I've been like I have 17 guitar cabs now, and I'm like testing out all these different speakers and like going pretty crazy like in kind of like the research and development world of like building better things that I want in the box. And so I'm really excited. We got a bunch of new stuff, and we're about to like spend the rest of the year just playing with it and mixing records and finishing all the work that like we need to get done. But now I don't have to take on any new work for a while, so I can just kind of chill, finish everything, and play with a bunch of fucking gear for a while. So I'm really excited to do that.
Dude, that's amazing. And you can find Sam's plugins at Purified. That's PURAFIED.com. If you guys want to check out his amazing multiple plugins as well. The Everything Bundle is still on super amazing sale. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, it's $38 now. It's not $3 anymore, but I did end that sale.
Dude, honestly, even like I meant to tell you this. Like how I found out about you was through like the Liquid Death snare.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And like that's how I got. Again, is that one always free, or like was it free?
Yeah, that's a free one. Yeah, that was the first plugin we put out. That was like my fucking like idea that turned out to be so genius and kind of like turned, and like then with this UAD like marketing thing, like I guess I have really genius marketing ideas for my plugin company that has like worked really well. But like the Liquid Death snare, I mean like we've sold like over 80,000 copies of that like over the last few years. Like just like 80,000 customers that like had purchased that plugin for free. Like it's insane. And like what a cool collab. Like literally it's Liquid Death. You can go buy them at fucking Safeway or Ralph's where you guys are, right? Yeah. And like so, and like,
dude, it's
it's a fucking plugin. Like it's so sick, dude. And like that CEO was super stoked about it. And like it's a really cool thing that we did. It's like such a random fun collab. Like,
yeah, I think it's genius. I think it's like really smart to like launch a plugin company with like a free, plugin like that. And like I love that guy. I use it all the time when like on live drums where I'm like, that snare just needs a little something more. And,
hell yeah,
it's great. Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to do the podcast. I know I had a blast. Like this, this is like the one where like a lot of my producer friends were like, "Ooh, I'm like intrigued about this one." This is like the one that like, especially like the guys who like are on the podcast, they don't listen to it as much because they're like, "Yeah, I know all this shit already." Like this is the one that we're all really excited about. So thank you guys so much, and thank you to our listeners. As like I said earlier, this may be the last Roundtable episode of the year unless something crazy happens and I decide to randomly do another Roundtable with people. Something comes up that I want to talk about. So if that's the case, I hope everyone else has a great end of the year. If not, I'll be doing more podcasts beginning of next year, probably February, if I had to guess. And take care, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Producer Points. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoyed this episode, Don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and share with fellow music enthusiasts. For an encore, check out our Spotify playlist featuring all the songs we've discussed on the show, giving you the perfect soundtrack to your creative journey. Additional audio and video editing for this episode was done by Nathan Rebello. Until next time, this is Justin Gamella.